What's up guys, and welcome to the part 4 of tutorial series on how to deploy Flask application on an EC2 instance. In the previous tutorial we have successfully configured the EC2 instance for deployment of Flask application, and in this tutorial we are going to set up a dummy Flask application, and we will start with setting up the application layout. So that is basically the directory structure for the Flask application. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have already SSH into an EC2 instance. So I'll start with making a directory that is Flask app. We'll move on into the directory. Here we will create two directories and one file that is templates. So in templates our HTML file resides like home.html or product.html. Then we will create the static directory, and static directory our static images or the CSS files or the JS file resides, and another is app.py. So this will be our main file. You can name like main.py or app.py, whatever you want. We'll start with creating the HTML file. So we'll go to templates. So I'll be using Vim as an editor here. So I will do Vim home.html. I will quickly create a simple HTML file. Let's say welcome to Flask application. And I will save this file. Now we'll go back to the Flask app directory and we will edit app.py. So we'll say vim app.py. So we'll start with importing the Flask. From Flask import Flask and render underscore template. I'll define app here, followed by the constructor of the Flask, followed by underscore name. So here Flask is basically a constructor that takes the name of the current module, which is referred by underscore name underscore as an argument. So this is not the pure Python Flask tutorial, so I will just fast forward here. So then we'll define a decorator. So in Python we can define a decorator by starting with app dot route. We'll say, so the route function of the Flask class is a decorator which tells the application which URL should call the associated function. So we will create the associated function with this. We will say def home underscore function, and we will say return. We will use render template here. So this will render the home.html from templates directory. So we'll say render underscore template and say home.html. So we will save this file now. So once this is done, we will move on to the Nginx server or the Nginx configuration file. So we'll do cd /etc/Nginx and sites enabled to ls. So here by default one configuration file is already there. We will create a new one. So we'll say sudo vim flask app. We'll quickly define the configuration that starts with server. So we'll say listen followed by the port number. So here we are telling the web server that on which port that web server should listen for the request. We will say 80 semicolon and followed by the server name, server underscore name. So server name here will be a public IP address or the IPv4 domain. So I will just copy the public IP address and paste it here. Then we need to define the location, that is the index location. So I will say location forward slash and proxy underscore pass. So I will show you in a moment why we are defining HTTP 127.0.0.1 here 8000. So this is the very basic configuration of the web server that we have defined for this tutorial purpose. So we will go ahead and save this file and we will do sudo service nginx restart to reflect the new changes. Oops, it's just give an error. Let's check. So we have defined server listen port server underscore name followed by the IP address, then location HTTP. So we have missed double forward slash here, HTTP colon double forward slash. Oops. Let's save it again and restart the Nginx. So now Nginx has successfully restarted. Now I'll just quickly go to the Flask app directory that we have created earlier, cd Flask app. We'll just say unicorn 3 app colon app. So basically this is the command that we use to run the application or the Flask application. So unicorn 3 is followed by number of parameters like bind parameter or the port parameter or the number of threads. So you can obviously go to the documentation of unicorn to learn more about that parameters. So we'll run this. So as you can see, it is successfully running, right? So as I said, we had defined proxy pass as 127.0.0.1 colon 8000. So this is the reason that we have defined the proxy pass as the localhost colon 8000. So let's go ahead and copy the public IP and paste it in the browser. Or let's say port number 80. So as we can see, it is unable to load the application via public IP, right? So that is because we have not opened the port here. So probably I will cut the video here, and so we will have a look at the security groups and we will open the port with the help of security groups, and probably we will deploy the application via public IP in the next tutorial. So guys, if you have any queries or comments, then please leave them below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and see you next time.